Really doing this, MATPAT? Okay, so funnily enough, I was trying to post a new video regarding the MATPAT Appreciation Marathon with a different sort of film theory that I'm pretty sure all of you may know. But then MATPAT can't help himself. He decided to release a video, and especially on FNAF, talking about the FNAF movie trilogy. So, something I was talking about earlier in my videos. But you know what? I'm not going to say who copied who. Okay, I'm pretty sure he had this way before me. And I'm pretty sure his video was a little bit better than me. So anyways, we're going to be just doing that. We're going to be reacting to how he thinks the movie trilogy is going to be. So without further ado, sit down, relax, grab yourself popcorn, and let's go. Subtitles. 4. Oh, come on.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory, the show that deserves its own semi-canon novelization. Friends, it feels like some sort of cruel joke. The Five Nights at Freddy's movie came and went from theaters. It was fun. It did great financially, and we all had ourselves a grand old time. We moved on, and now we wait patiently for the next installment to drop where Mike seeks help for a sleeping disorder, and Freddy and friends take their fort-building business on the road to turn it into a major real estate venture. Everything was in balance, as it should be. And yet, they couldn't just leave well enough alone, could they? Because just like clockwork for this franchise, they turned the movie into a book. A book! Even though I announced my final episode, I still couldn't get out of this thing fast enough, could I? Even though all the book releases were technically done for the franchise. After 22 solid books, and that's not even including the graphic novels and all the other spin-off materials, good old Scotty Cawthon found a way to squeeze one more in on me before my foot was out the door. And you know what I did? I read the thing. And it got...
Well, we're also reading the thing. Make sure you check out the second channel. I'll leave the link to the channel right there for the channel because, yeah, we just posted Chapter 4, the Chapter 4 read-through about it. And Chapter 5 will be coming shortly, soon, hopefully.
I'm glad that I did, because let me tell you, it is a theorist gold mine. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today to tell you that the FNAF movie book... that the FNAF movie book... Oh, I can't even say it. It physically makes me ill to acknowledge that something like this exists.
It's just a novel, man.
To tell you that the book version of the FNAF movie, it tells us everything about where the film spin-off series is headed to next. And perhaps more importantly than anything, it tells us that the big reveal of Chapter 3 is gonna be that Vanessa is a robot. Yeah, I know.
Come on, man!
Throwing things angrily at
yes, I'm throwing the tomatoes now!
Getting yourself an angry arm workout. What am I talking about exactly? Well, I don't know if you're aware of this.
What are you No, again? Have we learned nothing from the Gregory's a robot? Have we learned nothing? God dang it. I know I was the boy who said we should just deal with it because, you know, robot kids are a canonical piece to Five Nights at Freddy's. But come on, now you tell me Vanessa is one too?
It's not uncommon for films to get themselves what are known as movie novelizations. Basically a book that retells the exact same story as a movie, but because it's a book, there tend to be additional details thrown in to bulk things out. Insight into characters, their thoughts, their motivations, more descriptions of scenes, things like that. As you might imagine, novelizations like these were really popular before home video because people didn't have a way to relive the theater experience at their house. Nowadays, though, it's more of an additional source of found revenue for a movie. You already got yourself a script written after all, so you might as well throw in a few thousand extra words, slap a cover on it, probably just recycle some old promotional artwork, and boom! You just made yourself a couple extra bucks from the hardcore fans and the collectors. So, of course, when the FNAF movie got itself one, I was legally bound to read through it with the hope and expectation.
Yeah, me too. Sucks.
Lore hidden inside of its pages. And let me tell you, I was not disappointed. It was like experiencing the movie through some sort of weird multiverse. For instance, I am actually in the book. Well, Ness, my character from the movie. The catchphrase is in there and everything. It is really cool. I'm described as a, quote, tall, lanky, auburn-haired teen. I appreciate that book. You know what they say, the camera adds 10 pounds, but the novelization removes 20 years. That's it. The subject of learning more lore, apparently, and I didn't even know this is the guy who was playing the character, Ness is supposedly the son of the diner's owner, whose name is, in fact, Sparky. And that right there is a pretty interesting detail when you consider that there's a dog animatronic who we've all been assuming is Sparky hidden in the back of Freddy's Pizzeria. It is a super unusual detail that gets just a little bit more explanation and a bit more insight, all thanks to the novel. I'm the son of a fake animatronic dog. File that one in my character bio right alongside my undying love for Doug the lawyer. Or maybe not.
What? Maybe there is a character named Sparky. I'm not sure. Maybe there's a character named Sparky that isn't an animatronic. I don't know. Maybe Sparky's just a nickname. I don't think you actually an animatronic dog or animatronic puppy. But whatever. Let's go on.
Doug in the books, he is a very different character.
What?
The scene straight up features him openly creeping on Maxine, enough so that she thinks of him as a total sleazeball. Let's just say that he's hungry for more than just the apps. Thankfully, this is one of the precious few times that Scott Cawthon has stepped in to set the record straight, explaining that this gross version of my best shipmate is in fact non-canon, and that this scene will be altered in all future printings of the novelization. In short,
Yes.
Doug lives on. Or would you consider us deaths? Anyway, you can already see how having
thank
more words on
goodness.
the page gives you time.
Well, I have now. A lot of you are thinking like, "Wait, you know this?" Well, duh. I've read through the books, man. Come on. It's just that it's taken a while to release them, you know, to the YouTube. But whatever. Let's keep going.
Additional context to what you're seeing on the screen, and likely more insight into the original intent of these sorts of moments. And as you might imagine, if small bit players like Doug and I are getting lore drops from the books, then the main characters are also getting a lot of extra info in there as well. For
Yes.
instance, in the movie, it was lightly implied that Maxine had a bit of a crush on Mike. I picked it up right here, where she subtly signals that she wants him to put a ring on it.
I wish someone would buy me a ring.
It's not a big plot point, but
Go
you
do
can
it,
tell
Mike.
there's
Should
more
make sure you
under the
avenge
surface of
me.
this interaction. In the book, though, it goes from subtle subtext into a full-on plot point. She constantly dresses up for Mike, dropping tons of hints about her interest, growing more and more frustrated with Mike as he's completely oblivious to her advances. In fact, it's actually part of her motivation for spying on him for Aunt Jane, which she also feels very regretful for in the books, unlike the film where she just kind of looks sad out of a window for a bit. Another huge detail about the main characters, Mike is more of a theorist in the book than he was in the film, actively taking on more of the responsibility for unraveling the mystery. He independently does research. He even discovers the missing children's incident by himself instead of just being told about it by Vanessa later on in the film. I guess they just had to remove that part of the character from the film lest he get compared to the performances coming from other established theorists in the community. Okay, so that's obviously a bunch of
Nah, they were just afraid that they didn't want to put MATPAT as Michael.
These characters that either got cut for time or glossed over in a more visual storytelling medium. But there is so much more packed into this book, enough so that I believe that we can figure out exactly where the story of the next two movies is headed. And
All right. Oh, come on.
so that I believe
there we go, much better.
Exactly where the story of the next two movies is headed. And it all begins with the hill that apparently I'm going to be dying on for my final FNAF theories, a human being a robot. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Literally. I'm not the one making up the story here, friends. I just interpret the clues as best I can. But in this case, we have ourselves a robot boy. Instead, we have ourselves a robot cop, Vanessa. Vanessa is a robot, and I suspect she's not going to be the only one. No, obviously.
What do you mean she's not the only one? You mean there's an army now?
Last time we talked about how Film Afton seems to be much further along in his understanding of the possessed animatronics than either his game or book counterparts. For instance, he knows that they operate based off the pictures that are hung on the wall. What have you done? He knows that, as he's dying, he needs to be wearing the golden bodysuit in order for his soul to survive by bonding to the metal. I always come back. He even seems to have a rudimentary understanding of Remnant based on the existence of that weird torture Freddy mask. I mean, seriously, these animatronics are not inventing a device like this. It has to have been man-made. In fact, the novelized version of the movie's cold open suggests exactly this. If you read the prologue of the book very closely, you learn that Bob, the security guard whose death opens the film, had already figured out that he was nothing more than a lamb for the slaughter in this job. First, his internal monologue acknowledges that he had been hired to guard the pizzeria. It's written expressly in sarcastic scare quotes there, showing that he knows.
I noticed that when I was reading it, yeah.
Meant to be real. And as he's being dragged to his death by the animatronics, he passes by the kid's drawing of Afton holding the kid's hands.
Yes.
And we read that bile fills his throat in this moment. He knows that that picture and the rabbit specifically is the reason that he's currently fighting for his life. In short, the extra details in the prologue of the novelization strongly suggest that Afton is actively hiring guards to this pizzeria to harvest a remnant from them so he can continue on with his experiments. And he's using his control over the animatronics to help make all of this happen. And because of that, despite this being an adaptation of one of the earliest FNAF stories, Film Afton is likely already tinkering with much more advanced animatronic technology. Again, look no further than the cold open of the novel. The torture Freddy mask isn't just an old repurposed Freddy head like it is in the movie. Instead, it's described like this. Quote, the two halves of the bear face peeled back like the wings of a beetle, expanding out as the fur parted.
No. Don't tell me
This description of how the mask operates, with pieces that split apart and fold out, is actually much more fitting of a different generation of animatronic, the Fun Times.
Dang, not the Fun Times.
The game where these Fun Times take center stage. Down in Afton's bunker, we see articulating humanoid robot heads, eyes constantly blinking. They're alive and they're watching us. And these
I didn't know they were gonna blink.
These heads are important enough to have been directly called out by the FNAF character encyclopedia. In the game prior, FNAF 4, Afton's final line was, "I will put you back together." And in FNAF 5, we see exactly that. A bunker made by Afton full of robotic humanoids. A mad scientist of a man trying to use his robotic skills to bring a human back to life, to put his loved ones back together, literally. Going back to the movie, this is likely why we see a humanoid animatronic with teeth, silver eyes, and an arm with 5 articulated human fingers buried in the parts and services room. It's not just an Easter egg put there from scraps laying around the Jim Henson office. This looks like it's a first-generation robot person. So, we have an Afton that's already harvesting and...
What do you guys think? What do you guys think about this? So what? Are you gonna tell me that Vanessa died? Like, you're telling me that Vanessa died as a kid back in the day, and the reason why William Afton is killing all these kids are because he was trying to bring back his daughter, Vanessa. And this could also explain why he kidnapped Garrett. Because, maybe he needed Garrett's spirit. He needed Garrett's remnant, his soul, to bring back his daughter. And by doing so, because, Garrett has a toy, he's using said toy to basically bond with his new robotic daughter. So, in a cruel sense, he basically ruined Mike's life. He ruined Michael's family's life by killing off his brother, and then used the toy that was probably Garrett's for his daughter. That's sickening. That's crazy. William Afton, no matter what version, he's just scum of the earth, man.
Experimenting with Remnant at the beginning of this film. And we know that there's a human-shaped robot buried in the parts and services room that suggests that he might have been working on some sort of human prototype. That right there, though, is still a long way away from creating a convincing enough robot that it's able to fool literally everyone around it. And why, then, would it be Vanessa, of all people? Well, the first thing I'd like to talk about here is actually something that jumped out to me the first time I watched the movie. The performance of Vanessa's actress, Elizabeth Lale. Something I noticed throughout the movie was how aloof and disconnected Vanessa seemed. Her voice was always flat. Her character almost always stoic.
The new security guard?
Yeah.
You're bleeding, by the way. You and Abby, you still have each other. From where I said, I'd say you're lucky.
And for the times that she actually did show emotion, she was flipping on a dime, seemingly out of nowhere.
Take care of your sister. You can do whatever you want with your own life. But if you ever bring Abby back here again, I will shoot you.
Considering the character that she's based on from the games, you'd think that she might be more bubbly or energetic based on how she was in Security Breach.
Hello, little boy. If you're down here, say something.
Hey, little man. Do you know what time it is? The doors are open. Why are you still here?
And this isn't meant to be some sort of critique on Elizabeth Lale's performance or anything like that. We know that she's a talented actor.
She is.
Check out some of the clips of her playing Anna in the show Once Upon a Time.
He is Prince Charming, and you're Snow White, and those things sound terrible, but they also sound romantic. What is that amazing smell?
Is this real life Frozen?
Chocolate!
No, the flatter delivery from her has to have been an intentional direction that she was given. Perhaps direction to sound a bit more robotic. In the novelization, Vanessa seems to shift personalities on a dime, changing between what Mike describes as the bubbly girl mode and the intensely serious cop mode. For example, during their first night meeting, we get this, quote, "Then someone invisible flipped a switch. Vanessa's cop mode deactivated." That right there, it's a pretty suspicious way of phrasing a psychological change like that.
Oh, that's
Intentionally
true.
using
That is
robotic
very
language in
odd.
this franchise, yeah, press X to doubt. The same thing happens towards the end of the movie too, where after Vanessa's stabbed by Afton, Abby notices this. Quote again, "Vanessa's eyes looked weird, like they were lights that were having a hard time staying on." And speaking of both Vanessa's
Like
eyes
flickering.
and her personality shifts, the absolute biggest piece of evidence here, Vanessa's eyes literally change color when she shifts personalities. Check it out.
What?
From the book, page 144. Right after Mike tells
I mean,
Vanessa
yeah, I know,
Garrett
but
kidnapped
what?
Dreams, quote, "The narrowing of the eyes, the stiffening of her mouth, she was back in cop mode." No, Mike thought, it wasn't cop mode, it was something else. Vanessa's irises deepened noticeably in hue. They went from their usual soft, almost grayish blue to a deeper indigo. The color shift was so pronounced that it almost looked computer generated. Computer generated, huh? What a choice of words that
Very
is. And
good choice of
indigo, you
words.
say,
I
being the
never
color that
suspect
some would
that.
confuse with purple. But perhaps the single most telling part of this little paragraph comes in the final line. It was enormously disquieting. Mike felt like he was watching a human turning into, and then he trails off, not having a chance to finish the thought. Turning into what, Mike? Turning into what? A robot, perhaps?
Tell us why. Oh, come on.
Turning into what?
Tell
A
us
robot,
why.
perhaps? This thing with the eyes, it isn't just a one-off change. It is a consistent part of Vanessa's character descriptions throughout the entire novel, while explaining how spring locks work. Quote, Vanessa's irises did the light blue to dark blue thing. Her eyes had turned an even deeper blue, navy blue now, almost black. As Vanessa's explaining her father's creations like the spring locks, again, the eyes get darker, sometimes purple and sometimes black. It's almost as if she's fallen back on some sort of Afton-designed programming. Almost.
Oh,
He's
no.
controlling her. In fact, every time Vanessa tries to do something to keep Mike from looking into this mystery and uncovering Afton's secrets, her eyes go to this darker color. In the scene next to the storm drain where she tries to convince Mike not to try sleeping and dreaming of Freddy anymore, her eyes are dark blue. In the same scene, as Mike tries to get Vanessa to open up so he can get to know her better, he notices that her eyes grow darker and become blurred. And then something, in quotes, breaks any connection that they're forming. And yet, when she's begging for him not to go to Freddy's at all, to save himself and Abby, again, quote, he looked into her eyes, so soft and blue right now that it seemed like some of her essence, life force, was leaching from her. If there's some Afton-driven programming controlling Vanessa, that would also explain one of the stranger moments from the film. After Mike is attacked by the animatronics and saved by Vanessa, she reveals the dark secrets of her past and the pizzeria. When Mike asks her to help save Abby, though, she declines. Not because she doesn't want to help, but because she feels like she literally can't.
Come with me.
If he's there, I won't be any use to you. Believe me.
And when she does show up to the pizzeria later on, once confronted by Afton, she's only able to bring herself to shoot once before completely freezing up. Kind of like a computer that's crashed. Even my favorite line of the movie.
You had one job. Keep him in the dark and kill him if he got too close.
That's 2 jobs.
Is a robotic, process-driven answer. When I say that Vanessa can't be a robot because we see her get stabbed and have to go to the hospital, yeah, that's
But
the
literally,
biggest point against the theory. That said, remember the franchise?
yeah, I'm just gonna say it right here and now. Like, even if we're going to say, like, what about the hospital? Like, robots can't go to the hospital, right? Yeah, but if you remember Charlie from the original novels, yes, I know people don't like the original novels, but Charlie was a robot, and I'm pretty sure she bled too. She was able to bleed, she was able to eat, breathe, basically do things humans do. So, I mean, what's the difference for movie Vanessa? Again, I'm not trying to say I want this to be true, but I'm gonna be honest. We're just gonna deal with more robot kids, aren't we?
That we're talking about here, friends. These robots can be so lifelike, so realistic that you cannot tell them apart from real humans at all. They eat, they sleep, they breathe. They can even bleed like Charlie does in the original FNAF book trilogy.
You see, exactly.
The FNAF franchise tends to be cryptic, but time and time again, there have been signs that someone in this franchise is a robot. Maybe it was Gregory from Security Breach. We know for a fact that Charlie from the book trilogy was, Jessica from Frailty, Billy from B7, Sarah from To Be Beautiful. The list goes on and on and on. They are hitting us over the
We just
head
keep getting
time and
them,
again
man.
with these kids who become robots. And if I just keep saying that one of these characters is in fact an animatronic, eventually I will be right. Right? This would even make some strange imagery from the games make more sense. Remember the unmasked ending from Security Breach? No, of course not. Why would you? Well, in it, we see 2 Vanessas. One who's fallen to the ground and died, while another still up on the roof of the building looking down at the scene. This was always weird, and we as a FNAF community just kind of politely ignored it. But it suddenly makes a lot more sense if Vanessa is in fact a robot. This is just 2 recreations of the same model. One became active the second the other one died, which again is something that we see.
I still kind of prefer that was the ghost.
Charlie bots. But why? Sure, Afton might be creepy, and he's even creepier in the book. But why
Oh,
go
yeah.
through all of this
Wait,
trouble?
what?
Keep the pizzeria up and running, hire new guards to farm remnant from, create an animatronic as human as Vanessa? Why is he doing it? Well, the answer seems to be staring us in the face throughout the movie. It's this. The Ella Springlock suit in the back. Think about it. Vanessa's incredibly cautious around this animatronic in the film, warning Mike not to go near it and going as far as threatening to shoot him if he brings Abby back to the pizzeria. If she loves all these animatronics so much, why is she so cautious about this one? Well, what if it already killed someone? Someone Vanessa knows very well.
Herself.
Someone like herself. Afton's daughter, the original Vanessa.
I knew it!
That in his
I
desire
knew
to
it!
make the
I
best
knew
animatronic
this-
possible, Afton created this Ella Springlock animatronic, and it ended up killing his own daughter. Just like what we see happen with Baby in the games. That is where his obsession started.
I knew it! I knew it! Just like from the games as well. I knew it. Only I'm not sure if it was... I mean, we're still trying to figure out if it was, you know, Elizabeth or Crying Child that set off William Afton. But either way, I knew it. Ah, dang, I knew it. And that just confirms that he took Garrett and used his toy plane to bond with his robotic daughter. Ah, William.
Desire to find the secrets of life after death. He wanted to rebuild his daughter, and in the process, he discovered Remnant, how to create it, the pain required for it. That's why he built the torture device with the green Freddy mask.
I knew it,
Made sure
man.
that it was close to the Ella animatronic in the parts and services room. Afton wanted to infuse the suit with Remnant, all in the hopes of bringing back his real Vanessa. Eventually, he was able to build the Vanessa that we see in the movie, but even then, she's difficult. She rebels. She doesn't want to help him as much, especially when children like Abby get involved. It's not his real Vanessa, so Afton will keep trying
till he
If
gets
I'm
it right.
About this, it tells us a huge amount about where the franchise is headed in the next film. In our last theory, we suggested that Mike's brother Garrett is likely the identity of the puppet in the films, and will probably be the centerpiece of the second movie. I mean, the credits literally end with the puppet telling both Mike and the audience to come by. However, this is going to be a problem for Mike, Abby, and Vanessa. You see, Afton has a strange connection with Garrett. In the book, Garrett actually appears in the pizzeria during the final battle, luring Mike to a more secluded area where Afton can ambush him. Afton has control over Garrett's spirit in the scene, enough so that Garrett literally melts into the shadows that Afton emerges from. Quote from the book, "It was as if Garrett became part of the gloaming under the archway. He was there, and then he was something else. In Garrett's place, someone in a rabbit costume appeared. Not just someone, a man. So if Afton controls Garrett's spirit, it's likely that the puppet is going to be the villain of the second film, creating a whole new conflict for Mike to overcome." And
Dang, Michael's gonna suffer some more? Oh, come on, man. I mean, like, I knew the puppet was gonna happen. Like, I've already talked about the puppet in one of my videos. I talked about it. Whether Garrett or Charlie should be the puppet. But I didn't think it means that William's gonna take over the puppet too. It's like, oh no. Because I didn't think that it was gonna be possible. I didn't think William Afton is actually going to control the puppet. He wasn't able to in the games. So I thought, you know, he's not going to do the same for the puppet. But if you're telling me that he's going to make Garrett and Michael fight, or Michael have to face his brother like this, oh nah. Poor Michael. My brother, let my brother live.
if the third movie follows the third game, an undead Afton will be back as the main antagonist, with the grand reveal that he's been able to make robot people the entire time. Vanessa will be revealed to be a robot, and Afton will tempt Mike with exactly what he wants. He could put Garrett back together as a robot kid, exactly the way Mike remembered him as a child, just as Afton did with his daughter. All Mike has to do is help Afton with his evil experiments, and Mike then will be left with a choice. Just how badly does he want his brother back? Guess we'll have to watch the movie, and then read the corresponding 8-book series released afterward to find out. But hey, even though Vanessa might be mechanical, there's...
Alright, so that's going to be the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like the video so I know you guys enjoy. Comment down below. What do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about this video? Personally, I am liking it, even though I did talk about how I think the movie trilogy will go. I didn't think that there was going to be a moment where Michael will have to fight the puppet. But if the puppet does become the main antagonist of movie 2, then oh boy. Michael, I'm sorry, my boy. You might have to take a break from the pizzeria. I'm just saying. You're going to have to take a break. You're probably going to have to move those pills away for a while, man. Because after that, I don't know. Oh, no. Michael. And I really don't want to believe the whole Vanessa being a robot. But I'm going to be honest. It would make more sense. And it does give William a sort of motive to all this craziness. Because, like, I mean, we know game William, but what about movie William? Like, how is he doing this? Like, I think it happened to do with his son. Maybe. I don't know. I just need to think about this for a second because... why do we need more robot kids? I thought everyone already made their hatred known to them. But anyway, subscribe, guys. Subscribe. We're trying to upload daily. This is 1Gamer54, signing off.